So, we have quite a large population of animals in the Eastern Europe, don't we? They are often advertised on social media, especially abroad, by people who have absolutely no idea what the lives of these animals are really like. Unfortunately, recently I even pointed out that they shouldn't be proudly promoting this Bulgarian, Romanian, Polish population Team Rex. The producers of Canadian version of the series. I hope they weren't offended, but unfortunately people need to know that German Shepherds in particular fill up shelters, especially German Shepherds, when they became old. As well those who served in the police, those who served in the army. Do you remember the old Instagram before it turned into a monster? Because it turned into a monster and it's seriously difficult to use it. As I thought probably we had Instagram for that project, but now we hadn't because all the time was a problem with it. We need to add documents. We told that it's not a real account, this is a scamming, and we again sent our documents, our phone number, and we told that we have enough. That's so funny. I see much more accounts which probably for sure not send so much documents as we, so not much for others. They still say that we are not very account, we are scam, or that it's not very not parts to their society. It's funny when I heard that social media have any society, because it's difficult to speak about society in product which actually exists now just thanks to AI, which check everything, and isn't possible even to connect with someone and write to someone with help. Years ago was possible to write to Zuckerberg and he could change some mistakes of the system. Now everything's going by bots, so it's impossible, and those especially who are responsible for the accounts in Eastern Europe, they are more stupid than that AI, so as well is actually needn't speak to them, because I don't see a reason to speak with someone when I send a message that some posts are actually abuse because they describe awful things about zoophilia, or it's actually Nazism because it show how much Jewish should disappear and Polish or Ukrainian or Czech Facebook don't see a problem in that, but then when you send messages to Scalpel, already it could disappear, so it's impossible to discuss if we don't see a problem that some population should disappear, and it's nothing in that post, but it's something wrong with people who's right there, or they simply think worse than bot. So later probably we won't have that Instagram, because seriously we have enough to, as we told in Russian, to prove that we are not a camel, and we got the seriously. That project is as well connected with a foundation. It's possible to check if some people and tonight, and where everything exists, and seriously to that to exist what on the foundation was need more documents, more application, and even meeting with those people for existence of that, and really describe it well for get acceptance. So it's not like actually it's ridiculous what stupid Instagram have a problem with it, and it can exist, and here is greatest proof, and we still can hear what it's coming after each post when we send each doc, and we haven't simply time for that, so we decided to remove our Instagram. We will move it to another social media, for example a pixel of it, and maybe then but X actually doesn't pass to that project. Maybe it will return in some private account, but I don't know. We left it because we have enough. So as I told you, connected accounts, we changed the accounts, and after several minutes I will end it profile to the foundation, send them cartons, logos to it, and it will be as connected with foundation, which seriously need much more to identify that we are real than Instagram. And simply funny, and many accounts which promote animals and seriously have AI post photos, and it's possible to see it, they still exist, and that couldn't exist. And everything was possible to check because under each post is linked to official announcement. It's possible to choose because there is as well movies with us, and it's as well possible to check for example by face. We use it in Meta, but we exist by foundation, but which we speak, which so I don't see a problem. And so we sent several times documents and phones, and again after each post was the same problem. So I have enough to speak, but I'm not a common. So let's imagine a database gallery. I don't know what to call it, but would focus solely on the creators. Creators who actually would never find a home. Yes. Wrote some WordPress. I don't know what people think, but even servers have trouble uploading it. We created web pages for our project to send it to the foundations. We created the site, and it doesn't work and looks like what we wanted. Even informatics whose work or servers have a problem to create it again, so we told enough, we have enough, we need to send it because these animals simply are told to create it again, to change it again. It's actually just information, it's not what we want created to the end. So let's leave it how it looks like. It's not looks like as should be. Text is not as should be, but we simply have enough, and as well those people who for sure have better knowledge of it had enough. So I seriously have no idea what people see in WordPress. So we only want to create a database, but for create the database we want to show the problem to the people. That's why on the beginning we want to create exhibition of the photos, auto exhibition of the photos. So database were adoption listings from all over the country, from the Eastern Europe would appear. Not just one country, but the region, Eastern Europe, divided into countries. and over time the Balkans. Why not eventually expand it to Latin America or Asia? The animal population there is also huge, and in some Asian countries there aren't even shelters. Simple from what any shelter could use, and actually not what typical social media will write verse under it, but typical bus gallery. And we called it Balloon Legacy project after a dog whose we take care, I and my friend. We visited him each week as we could, and as well after Lord Byron. Why was Lord Byron? We think about several persons: Albrecht Dürer, Leonardo da Vinci, Edwin Lanzer, as well Queen Victoria in some way, it's possible to say. Armand Richelieu, not everyone know, but Armand Richelieu created in his palace shelter. Actually later the end of animals depend of the historian was different, but Richelieu take cats from the States and he was cats lover. Louis XIV, Stanislaus August Poniatowski, who wanted to be buried with dogs like Frederick the Great, his greatest enemy, but Frederick was buried with dogs. So many people who in the history were began the advocacy of animals' rights, although in the time no one actually know about that. Yes, I agree that in Victorian time it began to speak loud about animals' rights, but it was a lot of speech, but as well animals began to be used to the test. They were used to many other things which they should be used. The fate of stray animals was seriously worsened than is now, or maybe similar if we will think about, for example, Albania or Montenegro. Yes, so I think that Africa still doesn't grow up to that type of project. Simply, they don't grow up to that project. There is need to minimum knowledge about animals and about take care of animals, and in Africa that knowledge is any actually, and some shelter is very good now began to work in Cairo and whole time have a problem because they damaged that shelter. And simply when people came with cranes and damaged that shelter because they don't want to exist it. So it shows that there is no minimum responsibility and minimum knowledge for created that place, for exist that place. Louis Wayne when we speak about cat advocacy as well. So a simple format any shelter could use: photo, age, weight, length of stay in the shelter, illness, location, link to the official announcement, contact, everything. Of course, there would have to be some way to verify that the photos aren't generated by artificial intelligence. Easier said than done, as it turned out. There are plenty of animals listings online. We have many foundation websites. It's good that they exist. They are non-pathological ones, yes. It really they helped because as we had a case, for example, in Poland, was difficult with that. But many really helped, and it's good for. But some as well should, when someone asks about animals, should be nicer and more helpful. For example, I wanted adopted a dog which was according to announcement, and the foundation, all the German pointer. I wanted to give him home for the last years, and I asked several times about the dog, about what is he can exist with the cats. They answered actually like they want to answer, but they answer. They don't want to answer, but they answer. So little like they will do you so large, amazing favor, and you should be thankful even on the knees, but like you met emperor. And I never got that information, and asked several times if he could access the cats or not. And seriously, I wanted to give that the house because he was really similar to my first dog, and it was a beautiful black German pointer, and black is a really rare German pointer, very beautiful old senior dog who could exist, but we have a problem that we have a cat. I have a cat as well, and 2 dogs, but with dogs for sure the dog will not have a problem because my dogs existed with German pointer, and problem is the cats, not German pointer see in the cat a friend to the pointing, more they see something to chasing a game. Yes, so that was a problem, and it's difficult to explain my 20 years old cat who whole life existed with German pointer and sleep with a German pointer and play with a German pointer as well, check if, and as well when she was very seriously one of them because Morgan died very fast. He didn't suffer, but as he suffered before her death, and he took care of her wound and as well lick her, changing bones, cleaned her, so but the dog couldn't not see that it's friendship, and it's tackling what see it can born predator in his soul. That's why that problem. It's really rare, but German pointer can exist with cats, but yeah, so that's why I speak that. I had that situation, but I never got information what's happening with the dog, and that born many questions about that announcement. So but unfortunately, especially the older animals, the sequence have few such groups and got lost in the flood of announcements listings. Such database would have to be created by good IT specialists, choose the right server, but for example, is for what is needed knowledge as well, creating a page which will survive, yes, when so many people came to, for example, advertise things, not created something we have, for example, even officials for people were created officials for government pages, and we have a problem with use them, and some of them can be used, for example, since 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. when people sleep, because when they don't hang and disappear. So it's as well important, this need knowledge about it, how to do it. But it's of course possible, and the process other countries could join. In the US, animals are euthanized, the old, the sick, or those that don't pass test. The young too, creatures. The problem of nesting affects them too, because they are mostly local. As a result, we take away an animal chance of adoption in another part of the country, even though it could happen. It even happens often, but it's achieved through various sub-pages on social media in the USA. It publishes with listing, and sometimes animal traveled 1,000 kilometers. I even as well sometimes publish ginger cat on that pages when something came and information about my account in the adverts. And it's really possible. I know human who wanted to take care of a dog in Japan. He was at the time he arrived in Radomsko, a city in Poland. So before he arrived in another city, it was probably. And it can be difficult to say if it's Ukraine or Russia. It's that subject. And now we lived in Czech. But we wanted to take a dog from Japan. We heard about that dog from because it's mixed marriage. He is Poland. She's from Russia, but she's not Russian. She's German, who was born in Russia and stayed there. Yes, because there were many Germans, because Germans came to Russia learning, for example, Greek. We Tsarist simply to work, because there were many vacancies in the officials government's part, and Germans came there to work. Many Estonian and European nobility were Germans as well. So yes, because simply it was German for a long time, and when come to Tsarist Russia and later Soviet Russia, and many people didn't return to Germany. So we stayed. So and we heard about that dog, and we decided to travel for that dog to Japan. And there is, of course, not in European Union. It was a time when actually everything collapsed, so it was need to did it by car. Yes, because we I hear that people are now older, because that man was a friend of my father, and we don't have idea to put our cat or dog to the plane and give them a dose of temperature worse than in Siberia, and be happy that someone throws them like a bag and check. Yes, and seriously, no, if you want to take care of animals, you must as well give them comfort, and still flying by plane is not comfortable for animals. So it's not comfortable for people. Actually, it's as well use plane as rare as I can. So we decided and gone for the dog to Japan by car, and we took her, and she existed with them 10 years until her death. So everything is possible if someone wants and is seriously responsible and know and what decide. And now responsibility, I agree, is a problem, but sometimes that type of people as well still is possible to meet, and I'm sure that in USA as well people can drive 1,000 kilometers when they fall in love at animal as well in Europe. So why don't give a chance if it will be work? Yeah, but now it's difficult to work of that type. As far as as I told, we took a chance to adoption in another part of the country, even though it can happen. In Poland, there are regions with, we called it chained dogs. Simply dogs that exist whole life unchained. And as well, food is or not is, and they protect something. What they protect mostly, in Eastern Europe, I discover what when someone is from seriously the lower stair, the deep hole, is actually a peasant in the worst meaning of that word. I don't mean that farmer, because farmer can be more intelligent and more powerful than these people. But someone who thinks that is a god but actually is nothing. And it's possible to see that as well in comments in the social media, how these people speak to each other when just use road roads. There is any discussion with them. And we don't understand with any discussion. The same problem is as well with oligarchs. They are actually peasant in good way, mostly, and it's difficult to speak with them. As well, don't understand them, speak seriously. One going to discuss at Hagerster as well about politics with those people, many of them, and it's little, we speak like with Yakuza, seriously, or any over mafia. You come, you have a business to do, they see it like gods. Whereas full of vodka, they even don't know, I have idea about when someone come and is officially your guest, because when he wanted you, is need to stand up and say good morning, I sit, yes. And then it's a speech, typical Eastern Europe speech, which actually has nothing to do with speech, because we began to use as well some treats, for example, during a speech, that if you want that the deal, they will do that or that. So it's need to change, and delicate diplomacy won't help here, and it's need to speak in their language, because they simply don't understand our language. And it's a problem of all that countries. It doesn't matter if we speak about the countries who came to United European or not. It's a problem of all these countries. These people simply it's a problem because we changed the system and we got some things too fast, too much, and it turned in head. So it's turned in their heads. So seriously, it turned in their head. And it's need to use their language. So if we began to treat you and told something like that, as well show them other sides when they want to do that, what would happen if speak in by their language, even if meaning use rude words as well, use what a nice language, because what human simply doesn't understand our language. Normal language doesn't come to that head. Even have a problem with right, seriously. Right, good, grammarly, speech, I even don't speech, but sentence. We have a problem to write good a sentence, grammarly. But we became to the power, so it's the greatest mysterium of that part of the world. We have that type of people, and he wanted to see them in nobility, and simply they won't be nobility. You can wear it, you can give it a good car, but when it open a mouth, you know everything about it. As well, this woman. Okay, I know that Slavic women since the ages were famous, but they are cheap, not expensive, very fast. As well, remember that because of some reason some disease are called from the names of these countries. Yes, it came from something. So the lack of knowledge in that case as well exists here. So it's as well okay. It's a myth, not everyone for sure, but many of them unfortunately, and that many work for that opinion about the rest, and unfortunately it's many true about it that they will exist. They are good in speak, but when they catch a guy, they will survive everything, even 2 times beaten, just to have that keeping appearances what family is. And so that's why we're good as a wife, and so why we're searching, because they has not so much needs as, for example, we or women from the West. And they need something more than just a guy who drank or just a guy who beat. But this family, they produce the children and they fight all the time. And if he bring disease, she has even no background that he brought the disease until something would fall. So as I told you, we have a giant animals and these animals protect mostly property of what type people, and what's how it looks like. How about what property? Seriously, mostly it's a ruin. It's a ruin. So seriously, this animal protect nothing. It's like what when someone feel like a god, like a tsar, like a king, choose your name, whatever you wanted to choose. Seriously, it's look like what they are trained to protect nothing. There is nothing to protect. Old, ruined house, empty house, but maybe one day they will sell the ground, so dog protect it. A field, for example, and in Poland several months ago was a case that dog who protect a field was chained in something that created of metal, so actual temperature was very high. Was killed by someone drunk because he began to beat that dog when he crossed the road, jump on it, and that dog died. And that dog protected the field. For what fact, no one knows. Maybe from bars, but everyone knows that sometimes grains, especially, are planted near the forest for invited boars by some, simply because vegetation from Europe, when boar damaged the tree, are higher than cost of a grain, and sell of that grain, payment for the grain, so it's better invite that boar. European Union created some stupid rights, and that's right these people use, because these people because of their history whole time must for survive as well cheating, and those from Europe, especially German, they are from order to order, even during the war, when someone wrote here on the door that is pandemic, German didn't cross that house, although actually what people hide dangerous. So to describe that, it's their mentality, and they put that mentality at those people who thinks the way how they existed are not something different. Where brave existed in everything. For example, when you drive through the Ukraine, now it's probably worse. And the camera in the cars came actually from Russia, because the police created so many strange things that people simply began to use the video camera in the cars to show that they didn't do that, because many strange things just were taking place for making cars on the piers. So so when you drove in the Ukraine and the police stopped you, always when you give the documents, in the documents it's good to have some money, and policemen decided take or not. Bribe is actually there for everything, yes, and it's look like that. So don't trust that everything in this country is beautiful, because it's not, and those people who are existing in that system actually aren't asked, just those who will speak as media want. Often these dogs are trained, and Nia is still a body of that dog who was before and died. They get a meal once a week, eats good, and rest starved. They have to protect something. No one cares. It's a thing, like that of existence of many bigger dogs. And unfortunately, it's true. I always recommended a popular movie created by Filip Projek and his book. It's a Czech movie about a dog Gump, because that movie showed every problems of a dog in Eastern Europe. Since the throwing puppies to the rubbish, to the bucket, and to as well protect something which is not to be protected. It's the actually it's it's ruining a whole, and like it's looks like that. Yeah, it's greatest propaganda. Remember about it, what the Potemkin call it Potemkin village. Potemkin village still existed. Potemkin was officer, let's say, an officer and lover, probably as well a husband of Tsarina Ekaterina II, and when came to a visit of Frederick the Great, when became a problem, because Russia wanted to show the new conquest territory, and there were actually nothing, and as well created a road. But when they look at the farmers and the poverty, they have discovered that there is nothing to show. So Potemkin get idea that he would take soldiers, and on the road of Frederick the Great will build cartons villages painted in white. Everything will be beautiful, and these soldiers would change aware one of farmers from the local village, if they are near, they get new clothes and they will create theater on that road, and with official will change their clothes as well, and everything will be beautiful. Frederick will see a village, and when Frederick will cross that village, we will pack and move to another place to show him how it looks great. Everything works fine, of course, by the time Frederick discovered that there are the same faces, and but he didn't say nothing. And by the time one paper was simply felt, and everything gone out. So we called Russia and Ukraine as well. In Poland, I'm sure that they know what mean Potemkin village. It's the Potemkin idea, Potemkin village. So something like that, yes. And it's the greatest propaganda in this country is simply state, and it's still used. And with dogs protect something like that is possible to say. We don't see people mostly they are well, even if as well no untreatable the condition of health. So as I thought, if even dog is barren near stay a body of dog near but dog house once they stay, yes, no one take our next will stay and next will stay. Something like that is as well possible to say. And what's so funny, if you think that a municipality will see something like that, I'm sure that they will not see, because I know a case when starved dog was just behind the window of municipality, and person who take a cash for that, for take care animals, doesn't see it, but still is on that municipality, and that case like that, that dog simply started to jump and run away to another garden when someone drove out, catch the dog who was in that garden, cross nie jest wypadka drove, but animal the dog come too. And what's going on, Andre? Yeah, maybe something is. I don't know. And kill the dog who ate on the garden in the yard oatmeal, and ate that meal and gone away. And then become funny things. Ah, do you see? Mauri. So, and it's all very bad. Yes. Well, and it's I mean that the shelters check the place after adoption, because we don't do it. For example, I have 4 adopted dogs in my whole life, and no one came never to visit us, and maybe they should for whole life, but I had 41 years. So it's mostly sometimes with dog return in the worst condition, as well people return the dogs when they became sick, weakness, or simply they don't like stars. Seriously, as well, or when they change decoration in the houses. So with in our case it showed responsibility. And sometimes that condition will face animals return is worse than when they left the shelter. The truth is that simply not is enough people for that. In Poland is the first country which began to fight with that, created new law, but really only 9% would believe that these chains will disappear with the new law on the same day. The police won't check every house. There are municipalities where nothing has been done about anyone homeless and the money allocated for it went elsewhere, something the local authorities even brag about. Or there are those with strange foundations doing who knows what, also connected to the shelters. They promote rural culture and run a shelter. But you can't see this promotion anywhere, any exhibition, anything actually what we are doing. And it's hard to enter to the shelter. You don't even know how to get in, seriously. All the doors are left open so the dogs can go to the municipal and be couch again, because for each couch are money. So they left and couch and got the money for the couch. And when the animal sleeps in one town, for example, one is border and sleep in one municipality but runs around in another village belonging to another, the office shift responsibility. You can call was and they told, no, seriously, take care of, you should call to us and you should call to us. But the problem is even when we come to a car accident or even something happened to you, even for example someone tried to do something to you. I for example had that type of cases that a man when I drove after when we came to the main road, he overtook me and closed the door, closer the road. I couldn't drive, and he jumped into my car. But he couldn't overtake me faster, and that I should disappear from the road. I thought I drove through the village. I should be drove according to the all signs, right? According with rights, but he wanted to drive faster. So, and I was on the road, and because I drove according to the rights, and he wanted to drive faster, and there was as well big machine he couldn't overtook later. I should probably disappeared at the sidewalk where work people and drove there because he wanted to drive fast. Of course, I had a photo of that car and I brought to several institutions or called the police and began the problem because it was that part of a country where are borders, and even policeman has no idea where to go, to the police station in the village or in the town. So even if a police have a problem with ad, we have seriously problem. So it means that you actually must protect your own, because in that cases it was a danger cases, because that man could as well kill me. And even if I would began to fight with him, I know how to fight, but it could end in different way. As owner of the film took responsibility, we of course told that it was not their worker. So we behavior of these people, we think like that. we are gods. Even you should die 50 because a song that is 50 and it's a virus. He wanted to drive faster, and everyone who want to drive normally should disappear because he wanted to drive faster. And of course it was many road wars, words, because these people simply speak like that. It's seriously different when you go to a restaurant, and seriously different when you began to exist in that mess. So it's really a problem, as I told, with the mentality. Even if the dog causes damage, because some stray dogs cause damage, only because I had worst situation seriously. It ended with a parliamentary intervention. We began to write to politics, and were surprisingly still exist politicians who want to work, and the dogs disappeared in several minutes. It was whole the Christmas. We jumped on the people who worked with bags because we think that there is probably something to eat, and maybe some was something to eat. We as well came to a garden on one human and killed dog. They as well ran into a farm of one farmer, and as well to the start of people who has horses, and began to run and try to catch that horse. At the end, they killed Roa in the gate of my neighbor, and ate part of it, and later came a film to cleaning that as well. Another funny things, because now is need a special film to take the deaf animals from the state, and seriously that film shouldn't exist because they haven't even any gloves, and they took that animals, yes, simply with the hands, old bodies which spent several days. So was a process of the composition process, and in that time is so many bacteria, dangerous bacteria on the body, and they took it to the hand, and that blood from that raw gone at the street, and they like put that to the car. Even I am from the family that hunted all through the ages as well, because situation was like that in that part of the world, and as well because they were nobility. And seriously, I under the game would put even plastic that because simply cleaning a whole car from the blood, it's really difficult, and it's needed to take a time and special products to that, and we put it to the car and draw like that, and it's a film to cleaning the body's decomposition process of bodies. So municipality government of that village must to think seriously at what they spend the money, or maybe it's what type of business that it should like that, like in that part of the world. No. And what's so funny, after that intervention, this dog disappeared because it was by the time heart of the dogs. And what's so funny, they weren't stray, but they belong to a man who has several shops in that village. That's why they probably doesn't want to see a problem, because it's cooperated between local gov and that man. is simple under protection, and that protection must changed for several moments in the new year. Seriously, a central hotline will be also useful in that cases. If someone created it, I had that in Poland. Someone created some foundation which has that number, but it's still not for the whole of the country. Maybe it will be work, and seriously, someone will think about it and give us money for created that for the whole country, because idea is good, idea is really neat, because people want to help, people want info, but simply when they hard call to them, they stopped, because it's work like that. When we, by the time we stop, when all the time we have a problem with getting information, and we send as it's told us saying from Leszczyński to that team. We provide wide age shelters now focus on hard tagging stories, that kind of marketing. I agree, it's good. If someone writes without euros, that's good, sure, that's important, but once I read a listing that said nothing except that it was someone former dog. It was about a dog. And that dog was adopted by someone who abused that dog, and that foundation wanted to get that dog from that person. And info about it. Lots of crying emojis. Someone probably wanted to feed the algorithm which as well doesn't have animals in the shelters. I will tell you it loudly. But we got the most important thing, where the dog is. The information disappeared. Very often older people would take an older dog, but they live in apartment in blocks, and ask about why, knowing that when the elevator breaks down and those beautiful consecrated blocks, it happens quite often, they won't be able to carry the animal under the arm and walk up the stairs. They won't be able to carry if it needed. A younger person would also have a problem when we speak about 12 floor building without a lift. Visitor is rare, and even when I ask about it, when I posting listening or set it to with no person who agreed to post it, they wonder why. It will be enough to look at comments below the listing. Many people ask about it, that's why that at age. So I have a Polish site created by my father, and I didn't change to the end of the name of that Facebook site. It was created by my father and it works. It was created to find a home for the dog who he found on the street, and he found that home. The dog died several years ago. He had a great life with a priest and was so beloved. Many children visited them after the mass. He had a really good life, played with, because it was very nice dog, played with the children, had really good life on this parish house. But and after that site died, and we added still announcement about animals which need the most so fast take care. Crippled, older, and it worked very bad. So that Polish site still has name of a dog, and is added to that project, and as well over social media to a project. Of course, when that buzz and brand will be created, on social media would be disappeared, will be unuseful. So you needn't to be jealous and send several times to remove it, because don't worry, it will be disappearing when we come time for it. And but before that bus will be created, what we want to do, of course, to show that bus is neat and to find informatic who will want to do it, and corporation probably. We want to visit as many shelters as possible and take photos of sick old animals, those with genetic problems, etc. etc. The weather unfortunately isn't very well available for this. These are meant to be artistic photos, yes. There are places, especially small shelters, where I could gather material quite quickly, but that's not my point. We want to show the scale of the problem and the scale of the lack of responsibility. And that's why as well we decided to join to the foundation, because as well as need to have money for the oil. I need everyone by the time world was rushed to travel around the country and visit each shelter if which one, and sleep in the hotel if it's need, created whole the day photos and then return to the home. It created the whole cost, yes. And what we have decided to let's say to encourage sponsors to our project, we decided that if a shelter is in interesting historical places, we as well will promote the cities as interesting place in the city. Of course, if something like that is, because in some places simply something like that is not. And we want created that photos traditional exhibition in the hall, in the gallery, not the painting gallery, but the gallery which show photography in the country and also about why, as I told, because most people have a complex of West, and even if they will be screaming that someone from West showed the problem, speak about it how they could, it was from the East, and by the time of that screaming they began to thinking and they began to change some things. When we want to fight from that places with mentality, it's difficult, and that's why we wanted to as well show these photos about where, and we know that these animals for sure will not find a home. It will be a miracle, but we want to show how it looks like and how many of them ended in the shelter. And seriously, these animals doesn't came from, as is possible to read some great pages, from anywhere. Yes, they don't jump from the sky. Seriously, they were in home. They even if they born in home. These are domestic pets of some places were that fucking human and that fucking home. Unfortunately, people. And I know that human love to call, not by name, things. That's why Machiavelli is so hated, but Machiavelli at last told the truth about human nature, and still his books are used and are a textbook at every political studies, every army studies, and every sociology, psychology studies exist as well. Criminology studies, psychology maybe now not, because for mainstream media it doesn't pass. But for criminology as well, Machiavelli is on this exam, because he described a very human nature. But it's luxury. On the beginning was house. And that's why we wanted to create that exhibition, because that exhibition would interest people who face business which we created, and it could help to create that buzz jewelry. And traditional jewelry, in a way, traditional, not social media. As I told, for example, that stupid mistake with Instagram as well. To feel you better, Facebook cover some photos and you will leave it because there is open block or a lot of blood, and you leave it. And international jewelry, you will must see it if you will decide to visit that place. But is more possible that you will see it than in the social media, especially when algorithm will change it local and over any things. Frequently visit places as well as about to show the scale of homeless and the responsibility, because the homeless is also like a responsibility, seriously. And it's not like that shelter will disappear. They won't disappear because simply people died, some animals will stay alone. Animals not always are taken by the family, although they played with that animals. Know that animals are simply very comfortable. They are happy that they got a house and everything can disappear. So that's why it's also the reason that the shelters will stay. The question is how they look like and how many of pets will be there. If still it will be like that, where 3 or 4 dogs will be one and control and exist in one dog's house, or it will be like in normal world when one will be. So it's a case of responsibility. We all know that especially in areas old wives styles persist, like for example pregnancy, protecting against a cancer, and it's possible to hear it about as well people. Encouraging sparing nurturing is not a treat for birds, and when in spring the roads rides are littered with kittens. Even educated, semi-worldly people don't get it. Really, even educated people find it too hard to understand that spaying neutering is necessary in the population when one cat is one children is for 7 cats. So these cats won't find a home and they won't survive a long time, because it's a myth that cats who's going out exist a very long time. And this is the beginning when to create such database, because we are showing the scale, we will continue to have many websites, and it's good that they exist, but one could change a lot. Of course, the question arises, are this organization able not to quarrel and cooperate? The crowd's success with such a project can change a lot, starting from the worst level around us, and I'm really seeing that it's difficult, because so far the studies have been helpful and we could sincerely answer at the question if they can do exhibition or not, and sending links where to apply, just as Spanish. I organized several exhibitions seriously on my work and didn't have such problems as now with that subject. Old age and homeless are inconvenient, because it would show lack of responsibility very fast. Really, even for the house where I show the photos. It's a problem for them now. And the listening channel, a YouTube Twitch channel where we simply present listing and search animals in urgent needs of help from the shelters. Anyone can send in a listing for an animal if they want, an official listing. We don't want to advertise AI-generated images, and people really can't see the difference. And there are countless AI-generated animals listing worldwide, sometimes just to scam people out of money. I agree. But something like that exists. An example, as described on the page that created in WordPress, I had a situation with a dog from Sochi. I created a post about a dog who exists in the shelter, and I reposted that post because it was a simple, interesting case, but everything was related in the by the Greek alphabet, yes, and in the Russian version, because it was from Sochi. We described why they want to show it for the case, because the dog was a hump, had a hump. Thanks that case, it was interesting case as well from medical side, but it wasn't possible to help him because simply he could not survive that surgery because it needs to simply because of too old. He was too old, and anesthesiology, but anesthesiology always gave a good beat to the heart, and when someone is old, it's better not to do it, especially when we speak about very long surgery. And there was very need a long surgery because bones connected on their own grow on their own, return to the grow on their own, create that hump, and it was dangerous because of the time that surgery for the dog. And by the time I saw that photo, that movie, we've removed Greek alphabet in American page, and of course many prayers under it, how that would work, and changed by I at more cliplet for showing that way that dog even couldn't create one step, but it was that same dog because someone even didn't want to remove everything what was around, and the face was the same. So something like that of course happened, but there was any official announcement, anything of that. Any link, so something like that as well happened. We photos I do in the way. Why? Because as I told in a previous episode, simply many shelters has no cash for do it, and some even want announcement. Simply there is not a lot of employee, and with others it's better not to become friends. I also give the files to the shelters what they do with them. It's their business, but they got this to their own. Over the years, as a volunteer in various part of the world on the board, when I worked at a live where I had the opportunity to see the difference in how shelters operate. Many things my father as a volunteer also saw out of even wrote to various institutions. Finally heard from a colleague who was on the city council that its dependencies want were to graduate and he shouldn't concern himself with it and don't ask longer. So it looks like a mad. And I shelter in that part of the world I didn't see a place where people could spend with dog time to discover if they can exist together. And as well, I didn't see a harm, for example, to give predilection. So such a database would work like old Instagram or Facebook on the beginning of existence. And we started this project with my colleague in March. We talked for a long time and decided to do something. For now, we are presenting with dog with we know. We hope that we will change and we can see and visit other places. Still, one shelter waited for me, and I hope that in next week we at last can go there because it's too long time and it's in 54-6 degree you won't take a dog to outside to take a photos and it's not like that. And we named it after Lord Byron, as I told, because Lord Byron was very famous of his love to the animals. He traveled with them, and the poem which he wrote after his dog death, Boatswain, still is one of the most beautiful poem wrote after someone death. And Byron seriously gave about actually the whole dog soul in that short poem. And as well, after the dog, who we took care of the short-term rotation, unfortunately that dog didn't like other dogs. He became younger when he met dog of a street cats too. So we have our own dogs and could take him, so we could devote 50 minutes a week to him alternately in total an hour and advertise him. We don't know if that project will success, but if you don't look for interested people, if you won't try, we won't. We simply won't try and we will do how it's work. I do part in Polish and English because we want to interest people from the West who really have a different idea of what animals' life lacks in Western Europe. For example, Germans think that our shelters have an air conditioning like theirs. I haven't seen shelters like ones I call in Scotland with introductions of electric cars. To encourage foundations to cooperate, we actually sent several mails to them, and paradoxically to some answered that the project is great, but they will let them give money when it will be work well. When it will work well, money will be needed. So this and paradoxically, the problem of this pseudo-pathological shelters, yes, are around money from the dotation subsidies from the European Union, Norway or Switzerland. So if you are not interested in animals, you don't like them, you for sure interesting for what going your taxes. And dotation subsidies are nothing different than your taxes. So that's why we created that project like that. Of course, it's not like that. There is no abuses pets in Germany or in Austria. Besides, there are still countries where zoophilia is legal, although they are stepping back from it. Yes. Even Satanists don't support zoophilia. It's completely contrary to biology, so ask yourself who you are if you do such things. And here again I have the impression that the foundation for better writing about something they can change and even spending fake news. But bullfighting comes from the Christianity, not the cult Mithras corridor. Bombard the Pope with petitions. No. And they even show one priest from a book who spoke about the way we find the kid. He didn't listen something on the theology lesson. The political science is as well theology because the beginning religion created the structure of a country, so theology is as well needed. So seriously not, it wasn't like that, and someone who is connected with Catholic Church as well, really connected, will tell you something like that it was the local cult. There was the very strong cult of Mithras, and Christianity couldn't remove it from the tradition. So they decided to connect it with the Christian tradition and created another story where take results on their sides and give them what they wanted. The same was the Latin Christmas, yes? On the beginning, was not Easter, was not the Latin Christmas. The unique signs which celebrated first Christians were Epiphania. And you know what? Just one was Epiphania, where Christos was shown to the people on the 6th January. And later, because the Saturnalia was so populated and it isn't possible to remove it, we created Latin Christmas. And that's why now we have two Christmas. But the meaning of Christmas is as well different. Yes, that's why Latin as well have at 6th January again. Some of Orthodox churches as well, especially in that place of the world where it came to connection with Latins. But officially it was 6th January, and it's Epiphany, not Christmas, in that meaning what Latin that someone is born, yes, to show Jesus to the world. And we prefer to write the deal than with the religion. Few of these really huge one priced on our project, but they won't fund it unless it already developed. Turns out that the easiest thing is to take a photo of the dog. These dogs, whose photos I take, are looking for a home, of course. They were even validated by famous artists upon request, so I found the home. Shutters also really made a beautiful listings for them. Isn't possible to say that something on that case didn't work, and we're still waiting for buyers. I can say that they deserve it. I will probably change when more for the exhibition of these photos. I also know that some may not like to see this exhibition, but maybe that will give people something to think about as well. They were also sent to several international competitions and about the prize. When the competition is international, it's done for publicity. With work like that, everyone knows what chances are slim. That's exactly why I said that someone would notice them very easily. They see that it is very agreed to take it as documentary photos, and it's gone. So, what's in brief? We wanted to create a traditional exhibition in country and abroad to show the scale and lack of responsibility of homeless stray animals, their existence, and that is, let's say, a match to create in the future a large database for older senior crippled animals in the shelters and based in Europe. Maybe by the time it will work as well in other countries, another part of the world, and as well we want to create a kennel where we would advert that type of animals. So first and last is probably to create it faster and better ways. We will see to what is need people who will take care of it. Sometimes my colleague will be here to avoid barrage of arguments with turn of comments. We regard action not analyzing who is arguing with whom. Unfortunately, people argue about everything. We don't want to limit this project to one country. We hope our photographers will join. It will be nice because simply put the more photos to animals to these exhibitions, and the larger the database, the bigger exhibition, you can, if you ask what you will have because of it, you can promote yourself. Well, no, at least I agree. But I know that many photographs created in natural photography thanks to photos of animals in the shelter. They disappear somehow. And maybe someone will come up with the idea of creating car homes where animals will stay, as in the case, for example, in France. Again, someone will shut. Everything in the world has been around for a long time, and here we are surprised and we discuss about it. You might not like this, but my colleague and I work about for many years. It's really hard for us to understand when the countries of Eastern Europe, including Poland, became somewhat backward, and we mean in terms of simple organization aspect of life, not what you are talking and thinking now. Yes, because some began to have a washing with simply organization aspect of life. Your hospitals, for example, were awful. Seriously, it doesn't work like that. And we used in the hospitals as well in USA, and it was better, seriously. Of course, we paid for using the hospitals, but treatment was better. And I used in Germany, I used in Austria, I used in United Kingdom. Is better, seriously, is better. Although probably with skin, but not, but it's better. We live rainbows to sky, and what's worse, they believe that's really how it's everywhere. Unfortunately, unless in this part of the world, it's not. We don't want to engage in politics here either. We are very interested in cooperating with every country in the region and with anyone who wants to help, because the situation of women in our region is tragic. This is not only a problem of country where we live, Poland or Czech. Romania has stopped counting its population. They gave up on the statistics, but the skull of homeless dogs like in the 90s are abandoned in ditches. Images come back. Dr. Vasily talks about it well. Moldova has stopped counting dogs and cats. Shelters too. Whatever live on the street, let it somehow survive. Montenegro is better not to speak about. We as well hate the dogs because there is actually Orthodox Islam. It's overflowing. Sure, 2 or 3 crazy people won't change it, but when everyone who really care about it actually it may change. Actually, not just writing comments about poor animals and adding crying emojis, or what's more popular in the Polish internet, hate, because there are no laughs for that. I have a mixed feeling about the new law regarding outdoor cats. I don't know, but I have the impression that these provisions won't improve a cat's health much. Everyone will be able to say it's outdoor cat and look for the owner till the end of your days. My mother lives in the countryside. Once somebody a cat came for her. Unfortunately, everyone put their finger at the neighbor. The owner couldn't be found. Even thought everyone called the cat. Every time it was the same song. Oh, that's one. Maybe he belonged to that one. No? Ah, oh, that one. Maybe he belongs to that one. Like that. She came door to the door, whole the village, and didn't find the owner. Of course, she gave that animal take care, but it show like it work. People noticed that there are shutters that shouldn't exist. Great, it's great. But we'll see. Time will show. Also great, but right, it's changed and something boring in that case. But seriously, we will see how it looks like in the real life. Something alone, it's great, but if we won't speak about it, this topic will be forgotten, the demons will quickly be reborn. This is for this project, and now we have the dog to show. So we have here a dog whose name is Scalpel, like that knife using the surgery. So Scalpel is a big dog. I agree, he's a big dog. He's not full breed, but this is an interesting dog because he seriously have a great heart. Scalpel is 10 years old and he spent 10 years in the shelter. So into the shelter he came as very young. He's in the shelter in São Paulo. It's a small village between Konin Torun by Kruszwica. It's ancient Amber Road. That road is now seen as the ancient time. And in Konin is one of all these road signs called Konin Pillar, which probably on the beginning was a statue of some ancient god. And it describes in Latin that road. That's why we speak about that Torun by Kruszwica. Kruszwica was important town on the beginning of the country in the historical medieval dark ages, but now it's really small and forgotten place. But there are few Romanesque buildings, interesting buildings, because we have not a lot of Romanesque monuments around the world, and which stay with us existed is so important. So Scalpel is a big dog, and he spent actually whole way existence in the shelter, and he exists here with our dog Richard, who died several weeks ago. Richard was in that shelter actually since the beginning, when it was a municipality shelter, and it was in great condition. So as well as the program with papers, we said, you see, didn't know his age. he never learned, for example, walked on the leash. He as well afraid to be touching in some places. It's really difficult to work on with him. And by the time he became deaf and blind. And on the beginning, Richard take care when he was in that shelter by Scalpel. I thought he was very small, and when became a disease, Scalpel decided to take care of his friend, and he did it to end. He showed him where is the bow to wait, and Richard actually every move did thanks him. He worked with him on the walk, but it looks like that Richard gone behind somewhere, and actually probably for sure moved to the sniff by smell of his friend. Never ran so far away from him, but never on the leash, because it wasn't possible to give him a leash. And he was well worried about everything, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad to talk. I meet him and spend with him time, and my legs survived. So Scalpel was his eyes and was his ears, and now Scalpel stay alone, and as well he not so much like that situation, because he lost his unique friend, actually his unique family. Everything seriously did together, and something like that is very rare in shelter, because mostly the dogs fight, for example, for the better place, even if everything is fine. For example, as well for the attention of volunteers, of workers, because they know that when they gone well for the work faster, maybe someone will adopt them. If we still believe that someone adopted them, Scalpel is one of those dogs who stop bark when someone come. But when you go with him on the walk, he start a little move, but his eyes are very sad, and in this what I see, you see that he seriously know that you came just for the walk and nothing else. Yeah, so it's a dog with very big heart. It's a dog who really wanted to be a human, who wanted to be a touch huge. Different to Richard, actually Richard did it when Scalpel agreed for that. He decided when, of course, if Scalpel survived at touching, so I can be also touched. But still I will be thinking and guard myself. He's big teddy bear, so, and unfortunately big, unfortunately old, so seriously he's unfortunately as well non-breed, so even if that dog show amazing heart and something else is really rare, his chance for finding a home are very no. Pusia was in Wojtyszki. Laura, but she is not published yet, because I am afraid that Facebook won't publish it, but it's need to publish it somehow. Maybe we'll make a speech about it on Twitch. Was in Radysy, and in Radysy the trial has begun last year, if I could remember. Yeah, it's Eastern Europe court, so it's work so slowly, even when we speak about divorce. And where police found 2 tons of dog corpse and 600 animals had disappeared, vanished, and their fate remains is unknown. they had any paper for any animal which was there. It's impossible even has idea about their age, about their disease. There was nothing. It was actually the greatest, German had documents and that lost them. It was actually something like Gulag.